Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here. In this video, we're taking a look at the Legend of Zelda Game & Watch and determining whether or not it's worth it. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, being a fairly huge Zelda fan, I was really excited to get my hands on this Zelda Game & Watch. If we take a look at the back here, it says it's got The Legend of Zelda, which is on the NES, Zelda 2, which is also on the NES, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, which is on the Game Boy, Vermin, Playtime Clock, and Playtime Timer. In terms of packaging here, it's very similar to the older Super Mario Bros. Game & Watch, which I think you can actually still get on shelves here. So if you're collecting, these pair nicely together. If we compare the back of the boxes here, it's pretty easy to tell that this Zelda Game & Watch is a little bit more robust than the Mario Bros. One. We get an extra game on the Zelda Game & Watch as well as a Playtime Clock. So in terms of value here, the Zelda Game & Watch is looking better. Now, just like the Mario Bros. Game & Watch, this Zelda Game & Watch has stuff printed on the plastic cover. So if you're collecting this, you might not want to throw that away. Opening up the box here, and we have some My Nintendo points, which I'm not going to show you. There's also a user guide, and the interior box that holds the Game & Watch doubles as a stand. I actually think that's a nice feature. In fact, when I was admiring this stand, I almost forgot that there's a USB-C cable included, which is very helpful considering you probably will need to charge this device at some point. When I first pulled this Game & Watch out of the package, I noticed something immediately different on the back of it when compared with the Super Mario one. We have a Triforce here, and that is a pretty cool touch. On the front of the device here, we have our D-pad, B, A, select, start, pause, time, and game buttons. On the right side, we have our USB-C port as well as the power button. On the left side here, we have one tiny speaker, and that's the only speaker on this device. On the top and on the bottom here, there's nothing. Comparing the Mario Bros. Game & Watch beside the Zelda Game & Watch, and they're pretty much the same here. The Zelda Game & Watch does have that start and select button, but all of the other buttons are the exact same, and they function the exact same. The location of USB-C port and power button is identical, and the speakers are also the same. Here's a quick shot on the difference between the backs of them. And for those curious, here is the very first power-up of this device. Now there is a pretty cool little touch here on the back of the Zelda Game & Watch, and it does have to do with that Triforce. I'm going to turn the lights off here, and it might not capture the best, but the back of this thing lights up. It's not the brightest, but at the same time, it's a nice little feature. In fact, you can control the brightness of the Triforce on the back just by changing the brightness on the screen. They are completely connected. The brighter you make the screen, the brighter the Triforce gets. To access the games on this device, you just have to press the game button. That will bring you to the games menu. You can change versions of the game based on the language you want to use. Here's a quick look at The Legend of Zelda on NES running on this device. In terms of emulation, it didn't seem too off at all. It was absolutely acceptable. Here's the Adventure of Link up and running, and that game also seemed entirely playable here. There didn't really seem to be an issue with emulation. And here's Link's Awakening up and running. Now, I didn't notice much of an issue at all with this emulator either. I think it's completely playable as well. I'm a little bit disappointed they didn't include Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX because, in my opinion, the Game Boy Color version is the better version here, especially since we have a color screen. I don't know why they didn't take advantage of that. And here is the special Zelda edition of Vermin, which is also not a bad game either. And Vermin actually has two different game types here. Game B is a little bit harder, I would say, but they're both enjoyable. There is a timer mode. You can set this to count down a timer, and while it counts down the timer, you can play some Zelda 2. And in clock mode, you can play some original Zelda. Now, Nintendo included a ton of Easter eggs on this device. I'm not going to go through every single one because this video would go on forever, and it also kind of ruins the joy of exploring and finding them out. But one of the Easter eggs here, I held the A button while I was selecting a new game. You can see I have 3 hearts on the bottom. As soon as I leave the house here, I am now at full hearts. Now for the screen quality and size on this thing, I would say they're definitely nothing to write home about, but they're completely serviceable for what you might need here, and they do get fairly bright. In terms of sound, there's only one speaker, and it's really easy to accidentally cover that with your hand, and then you'll have some muffled sound. It does get relatively loud, but at the same time here, the positioning of the speaker is relatively poor. I wouldn't have minded seeing it on the top of the device, and that way it wouldn't have been covered at all by your hands. Now for the price of this device, Nintendo is selling it for $49.99 US, or basically 50 bucks. So at 50 bucks here, would I recommend the Zelda Game & Watch? And the answer is yes and no. Yes if you're a fan of Zelda. Yes if you're watching this video because you're interested in them. But no if you're just a casual gamer looking to pick something up to kill the time. I think 50 bucks is kind of pushing it for a device like this. I mean, at the same time, there are some more expensive things out there, but also it's not really giving you a whole lot for that 50 bucks. In Nintendo's eyes, this is probably a huge bargain, but for the average gamer here, I would say it's more of a collector item or a big fan item. At the end of the day here, I am not blown away with this device, but I'm also not really unhappy with it. If I had to buy it again at full price, I absolutely would. I'm a big Zelda fan, I'm a sucker for these things, and I'm happy with my purchase. But anyways, that is all I've got for this video. Let me know your thoughts on the Zelda Game & Watch in the comments below. Did you pick one up? Are you happy with it? Or are you unhappy with it? Or are you still on the fence as to whether or not you're going to get one? If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Thank you everyone. Take care.